Hey everyone, this is some guy named Rob, and I have a personal motto that it's better to be late than never, which would explain that I feel that now is the perfect time, a mere 13 years after its release. It's a perfect time to talk about MVP Baseball 2004. Actually, I finally got my PS2 emulator working. Most of you would know that I've already done a video on MVP Baseball 2004. That was the PC version that I was using. And there were some frame stutter issues, and there were some timing issues and stuff like that, especially controller issues. If you didn't have a certain Logitech setup from around the early 2000s, best of luck playing this game on the PC. But with the PS2 emulator, I can now actually play the game with a modern controller at a smooth 60 frames per second. Well, mostly. Now there are some glitches because obviously we're dealing with an emulator. We're taking a PC and using it to try and replicate the conditions of a PlayStation 2. So there's going to be some compromises and some hiccups along the way. There are some slowdowns with the picture-in-picture during replays and the little scenes that play between innings. Sometimes they will slow down in terms of frame rate, and that'll sort of slow down the audio and make it sound like the announcing team for the game are having a collective stroke in the broadcast booth. But there's no frame rate hiccups. Everything is butter smooth. You may not see it in the gameplay footage that you're watching now because I'm still trying to find the optimum settings to capture the game footage, but it plays absolutely beautifully during the gameplay. None of the gameplay is affected, which is great. No frame rate hiccups like on the PC version, and the best part is I can use a modern controller. I can plug in my Xbox 360 controller, and I can just use it. It just works, and it's fantastic. And also from a graphical point of view, I can actually have fans in the stands again. For some reason, the PC version, at least on my PC and on pretty much every other PC that I've tried it on now, keep in mind I have everything from my more modern gaming machine all the way back to systems that are contemporaries of this game. I actually have a desktop and a laptop that date back to about 2005, 2006. And you can't get it to run properly on either of these, even under Windows XP. It's really kind of annoying. I've had to turn some of the graphical options off because otherwise you get these weird sort of like black silhouettes that appear and disappear out of nowhere in the stands. Now it looks pretty much like it did when I was playing it on my PS2. Now, it's not perfect, but this is about as good as it's going to get without my going out and having to buy yet another PS2. That would make it my third, and hoping that like the last two, it doesn't die. Having the laser come out of alignment or just having it overheat and burn up or what have you. But yeah, it's really cool to be able to play this again and play it the way that, I guess the way that I remember it is a bad way of saying, but probably closest to the way it was meant to be played. So why would I play a game that is, at the time of this video, about 13 years old? And really, there are a lot of pros to it. There are some cons, but a lot of pros. And we can start off with the first one. I'll get it out of the way, and we can call it homerism. But I really like being able to play as the Expos. 2004 was the final season that the Montreal Expos existed as a team within Major League Baseball. In 2005, they moved to Washington, D.C. They were renamed the Nationals, and the Montreal Expos were no more. I miss the Expos. They're my hometown team. I grew up watching them, listening to them on the radio. I remember opening day every year, trying to go as much as I could on opening day for the opening home game. There were times when, I'll admit, in high school, skipped some classes to go downtown to watch a baseball game with some friends. It was great. Went there on school trips. It was fantastic. I have a lot of really cool memories of going to Expos games and being able to continue on and maybe relive those as I kind of play with that team. Really cool. Another thing is the attention to detail is amazing. Olympic Stadium looks exactly the same as I remember it from when I went to my last home game in 2004. I mean, other than the ads and the billboards, obviously those have to change. I don't think that they're going to put beer ads or whatever other ads that they had in the stadium into EA Sports titles. But yeah, other than that, the stadiums look identical, and anyone who is watching this video and is from Montreal remembers going to home games at Olympic Stadium. You just look at it and you go, whoa, they got it so right. And it's really, really cool. Even right down to the really ugly yellow benches that were in the dugouts. When you catch glimpses of the dugouts, the players in the dugouts, and you see those really wretched yellowy benches, horrible 70s colors. It's there, and it's replicated. It's almost scary how well they replicated that. Other things, again, with attention to details, just depth, and more depth. Trades, drafts, call-ups, send-downs to the minors, injuries, suspensions. If it existed in baseball in 2004, it's in this game. And not only is it in there at the major league level, it's in there at the minor leagues as well, because you have your AAA team in the franchise mode as well as your AA team in the franchise mode. Now, some would say there's even more depth in 2005 because you also have the single A. Granted, there's that, but it doesn't have, to me, the historical significance of 2004. And getting back to if it was in the game in the real world, it was in the game, on the console or on the PC, you can get things into the game that weren't there in reality in 2004. You have the unlockables, historic stadiums. You can go ahead and through your MVP points, as it were, you can unlock historic stadiums like, Forbes Field in Pittsburgh, where the Pirates played from 1909 to 1970. Griffith Stadium, Washington, D.C., home of the Washington Senators from 1903-1961. The original Tiger Stadium. The Astrodome, which the team in Houston have not used since 1999. You can have the Polo Grounds, the old Polo Grounds that were in New York City from 1911 to 1957. That's kind of awesome that you can play in the modern era in those classic, stadiums and sort of have that vibe. Now, to complement that, you also have historic jerseys. You have everything from the sort of, I guess, iconic 1992 Toronto Blue Jays uniforms all the way back to the 1903 Boston Red Sox. You have jerseys for teams that don't exist anymore, like the Philadelphia Athletics. You have the old Brooklyn Dodgers uniforms. That's really cool that you can unlock that. Now, of course, obviously, you also have that sort of baby blue 1981 Montreal Expos uniform that you can unlock as well, which I have. I'm just not using it in the game footage here. But that's really cool. You have all of those things. And on top of the unlockables, you can use those in your franchise mode. So you can have some very, very entertaining historical questions answered. So how about, could Nolan Ryan strike out Babe Ruth? Let's take it one step further. How would Ty Cobb, one of baseball's greatest hitters, fare against Randy Johnson, the big unit, who in Major League Baseball recorded nearly 300 strikeouts in a season? What about Cy Young? You can unlock Cy Young. Can Cy Young win the award that's named after him in the modern era against modern hitters? That's a cool question. You can answer that in this game. Now, of course, I'm not trying to blow it up to be anything bigger than it really is. Obviously, there are some cons to this game. The first one is the graphics do not hold up to the HD era. The PC version fares the best. The PC version in 2004 actually supported graphics of 1280 by 1024, which was kind of the large size monitor at the time, before high definition really kind of took off in the 720p's and the 900p panels eventually came in and then gave way to 1080p 1440, and of course now 4K. But yeah, if you're playing this on an emulator, your PS2 graphics are probably closer to 640 by 480 native resolution, and they do not look pretty when they're upscaled too far. I've played this on a 720p panel, And I wouldn't go much higher than that because it really doesn't look pretty. But at the same time, at least it's playable and it plays very, very smoothly. There's a commentary track. I mean, there's Mike Krupko and Dwayne Kuiper, I believe, are their names. I don't have any notes in front of me about the names of the broadcasters. And it's nice to have them there, but man, do they get old, and does it get repetitive very, very quickly, especially if you're playing in franchise mode, and even more especially if you are playing all three teams and managing your entire franchise from top to bottom, because you're going to play a lot of baseball and you're going to hear a lot of the same comments over and over and over and over again until it drives you crazy. Thankfully, it's easy to turn off. With that said, I'm pretty sure there's some people who want to know how it stacks up against my new favorite baseball game, Super Mega Baseball Extra Innings by Metalhead Software. And I want to say that I've really come to like Super Mega Baseball's more stripped-down arcade approach to baseball. I really like it a lot. Now, granted, there's a lot less depth. There's no trades. There are no drafts. There are no injuries, etc., etc. But there's a really nice perk system to help you boost your player stats through special coaches and gear. And these are kind of like buffs on a player's performance. Actually, some of these buffs actually have a negative to it as well to kind of balance things out. And it can help you personalize each player in your team as you progress from season to season because, of course, with no drafts and no trades and no retirements, you're playing the same roster over and over again. And it is a good thing that you get these buffs and these sort of perks that help you personalize because, especially with the pitchers, all the pitchers have access to the exact same pitches. They all have the same repertoire. If you've played any other baseball game, well, I shouldn't say that because I haven't played every other baseball game, but in most baseball games, pitchers are going to kind of specialize to something. A guy like Randy Johnson, fastball thrower, has a really great slider. You're going to get another one, has a fantastic changeup, really great curveball. Maybe not so fast on the fastball. But they're only going to have at most 5 pitches. In Super Mega Baseball, I think you have something like 8 different pitches, maybe more. I'd have to check that. I think it's 8 pitches, and everybody has the same 8 pitches. They're all in the same slots. So as you move your thumbstick around, you're picking always from the same pitches, and give or take a little bit of accuracy rating, they all play pretty much the same, which I don't really like. But back to positives. Love the aesthetic. I like the attention to detail goes into the stadiums. I've spoken about this at length before when I did my Super Mega Baseball videos, but man, the stadiums look great. Cutscenes between the innings look amazing, and the graphics in general, it runs butter smooth. 60 FPS at 1080p with every option dimed. Maximum anti-aliasing, 8 times anti-aliasing, 16 time anisotropic filtering, shadow quality on the highest, physics up the wazoo. Every graphical setting turned up as high as it'll go, and the game is rock solid, 60 frames per second, no hiccups, and smooth. Absolutely smooth. Now, again, my computer is getting a little long in the tooth as gaming PCs go, and I'm not able to play and capture the game at max settings at the same time, because I only have the one PC, and it's not beefy enough to do both, but you gotta take my word for it. This game really looks amazing when you go to 11. So I guess that begs the question, which one is the better game? Now, I'm going to take the easy way out and answer this for the question. What kind of baseball experience are you looking for? If you're looking for some arcade fun, you're looking for something that plays well, looks great on a modern system, has great 3D graphics, even if they're not the most realistic, Super Mega Baseball is probably about as good as it's going to get until Super Mega Baseball 2 comes out. Now, I'm talking about the PC, obviously, because I know that on the PlayStation you have MLB The Show, but I'm a PC gamer. I'm not going to go out and buy a PS4 to get MLB The Show when, the next version might require me to buy an entirely new console. I'm going to stick with the PC. So from a PC gamer's perspective, it's a great game. Super Mega Baseball is a great game. Super Mega Baseball 2 which is supposed to come out in 2017 sometime. Release date has not been set at the time of this video. It looks fantastic. It looks really, really good, and actually looks a little bit closer to... Still got a bit of that cartoony vibe, but looks a lot more realistic in terms of its graphics. So that's really kind of cool. So if you're looking for that arcade experience, you just want to have some fun, play some baseball, and have a good time, go with Super Mega Baseball. You cannot go wrong with it. And Super Mega Baseball 2 is coming out, so there's probably going to be some sales on Super Mega Baseball coming out soon if they're not already. Now, on the other hand, if you are looking to see just how deep the rabbit hole can go in terms of depth, then you owe it to yourself at least once to pick up a copy of MVP Baseball 2004 and give it a go. I've heard some really amazing things about conversion mods for the 2005 version of MVP, which lets you update rosters and stadiums all the way up to the current season. I haven't personally checked out these mods, so I can't really say anything about them. But if that's something that you're comfortable with, I do see a reasonably plentiful supply of copies for the PC of MVP Baseball 2005, both new and used. So hey, you know, they're relatively cheap, and if you want to go ahead and do those conversion mods, you can have a modern baseball title on the PC, and it'll probably do better at supporting the modern graphics than an emulator would. Now, I might dive down the rabbit hole in a future video properly to really show off some of the impressive features that I really wish would make a comeback in PC gaming. I'm hoping that Super Mega Baseball 2 has some of these features. It'd be really, really nice. They're working on it from what I understand, but I really want to see it in action. But I think we've gone a little bit long enough on this video, so I think what we'll do, we'll stop it right about here, and we'll see you in the next one.